This is the Tapped In Podcast, the podcast for beverage distributors that want to empower their sales team to drive business results. Listen up and welcome back to another episode of the Tapped In Sales Podcast. You're here with Bud and Mikey, your podcast for beer distributors, by beer distributors. Thankfully, today we have an episode that's like, we're alive. Well, Mike's alive. I was always alive. That was in question for Mike earlier this week. And I was on the road covering for Mike because we had a little boo-boo.
And accident.
We've been trying to name you. Maybe it's not Snowboard Mike. It's it's not Slasher Mike.
Slow Mike.
Slow Mike. Now it is slow. No carbon Mike. No motion Mike.
Yeah.
Bro, what happened? Like, you texted me on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey. And we're traveling. Like, we're supposed to be traveling Sunday or stay together.
We were heading out of state for an on-site on Sunday. And also we took off Thursday for a good old Hall family Northern Michigan ski trip that we had planned for some time now, and supposed to come home Sunday morning, regroup, head off and join you for the on-site later on that day. But we had a little bit of an incident on Saturday.
Told you wear a helmet too. Stay safe and wear a helmet.
Yep. And I always do. My whole family, we all wear helmets. It's funny though, because on the ski hills nowadays, when you look, it's odd to find somebody not wearing a helmet, which is a good thing, right? The majority definitely wear them, and we do too. But yeah, we had quite the accident, and I had to text you, and at the time I was still in and out, and I was thinking that I was better than I really was. I was living, I don't know, last week's episode, that parallel universe that you were talking about. I think I was living in that universe because I thought all was well. And my wife kept telling me all is not well. And I'm like, no, I'm meeting Bud tonight. Like, this or tomorrow, it'll be fine. Everything's good. And slowly realized I was not okay.
That is not good. So what happened was you took a huge spill on your board, didn't you?
Yeah. So I've been snowboarding since I was probably about 17. I skied for 10 years before that. Fallen. I've had my share of falls, but I consider myself pretty good. I don't normally fall. If I do, it's a little minor spill, but this was major. Coming down the hill at a pretty good clip, my backside to somebody else's backside that was also going at a pretty good clip. Neither one of us saw each other. We rammed. I had my tracker on somewhere between 37 and 40 miles an hour, I'm guessing, is probably where we rammed. And it sent my board into the snow, which if anybody out there snowboards, if you catch that toe edge, you're going down hard. And
if anybody's got YouTube, we have video. We have video evidence of this. Yeah. If anybody's watching.
So I hit
clip.
Yeah, let's watch this. We'll come out of the left here.
Give us the play-by-play.
Play-by-play. We'll come out of the left. This guy's obviously in my way. He cuts me off there. We kind of come around. I pass him. I'm supposed to have the right of way. We clip boards. I'm on the left now. And you can see I'm motionless. That's not good. We'll do the slow motion right after this. It'll go right into it. Still motionless. So I catch, look at how I land. That's my head. And then my body follows. So I landed head first, head, neck, and kind of came in after it. I was out cold. I was out this whole time until the ski patrol. You'll see the ski patrol guy come up. The other guy jumps up, takes off like no big deal. I zoom back in here in a minute, but yeah, you'll see people start stopping and they're like, hey, there's something wrong with this guy. He's not moving. My buddy was actually on the ski lift going up, and he saw him and he was like, that guy's dead. Didn't even know it was me. He's like, that guy's
no
dead.
Way.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see here now they're like, hey bro. And yeah, I'm out cold. So here comes ski patrol. This guy was awesome. He finally gets me awake, and then yeah, I kind of came to, he got me talking. He did some tests on me, like, visual tests, asked me some questions, says that I answered them pretty good. And I don't remember any of this. This is all. So to fast forward the story, I have no recollection of most of the day. Definitely nothing around this accident. So This is a long video now. Then a bunch of people come, but yeah, they finally got me awake on the hill. My wife and the rest of the family that we were with come up there, and they get me up, and I pass all the tests sitting right there. They're like,
No
yeah,
kidding.
you hit your head really good. And we think, you're like, are you good to walk? And I said, yeah. So about 15 minutes after all of this, they kind of get me up, and they let me walk to the ski patrol. And walking there is when my wife quickly realized that I was not okay. I had no memory of the day. I thought we were still checked into the hotel, which we checked out earlier that morning. I was trying to walk to the hotel to go and rest. And she was like, Mike, she was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And she was like, we checked out. I'm like, well, where are we staying? She's like, you made reservations tonight at the other hotel, remember? And then she starts bawling. So then back into the ski patrol we go. And luckily they had a doctor there. And I don't remember any of this. The next thing I remember is sitting there, and the guy's talking to me, and I wake up, and I'm kind of like looking around, and apparently I was talking in conscious this whole time, and I look outside. I had no idea why it's daylight. So confused why it was daylight. I'm like, wow, I've been in here all night, because my last memory was the night before.
Whoa.
When we were skiing. Yeah, so completely erased an entire day.
That doesn't pass the protocol test.
It did not. So at that point, and the guy that was in there was a legit doctor. And after some more tests and everything else, and figured out, then they wanted to load me into the meat wagon and take me down to the hospital, which I was like, nah, I'm not going in no ambulance.
I'm never had to take no ambulance after that.
Not leaving this hill in no ambulance. So luckily my wife was like, well, I'll just drive him.
Such a hard ass.
So yeah, so I don't know if you've ever been to a hospital in northern Michigan, but they're not very detail oriented, and I didn't really get a whole lot of testing or anything else. And anyways, fast forward, I came home Saturday. I felt okay, and then as the night went on, I quickly just deteriorated. My whole chest cavity started hurting. My back started hurting. I still didn't remember the day. I was foggy. Sunday, like just no memory, so foggy, and everything hurt so bad. So yeah, that's when I texted you. I'm like, hey man, I took a spill yesterday. I want to let you know I have concussion. They said bruised ribs and a concussion is what ended up happening. So I text you, and I'm like, hey man, I'm still gonna meet you. I'm still going to be there. And the whole time my wife was like, Mike, you're crazy. Like, look at you. You can't even like C-strap. I'm sitting in the passenger side of the car. I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll snap out of this. Right. And then, yeah, as time went on, I'm like, yeah, I think I'll meet you in the morning. And then you're like, we'll just figure it all out. Next morning, that night was terrible. I couldn't think straight. Like my brain was so foggy. I kept telling everybody, it's like that morning when you wake up and you're kind of like foggy and you're like, wow, that was a great night. You remember bits and pieces of it and like puzzle pieces, but you're so foggy it hurts to even like think or focus. It's basically been like that since Saturday. So yeah, a lot to pull together. I ended up going back into the hospital on Monday, and they ran a bunch of tests. I had to go. I had a CT scan of my head. They were worried about brain bleeds. Luckily, no brain bleeding. Just the big,
no broken bones either, right?
Yeah, they did a full CT scan of my back, my neck, and my rib cage, which they were really worried about. They thought maybe cracked vertebrae, cracked ribs. Luckily, it's just the bruising in the ribs, and they don't know exactly what's going on in my back. My back is still really jacked, but they said they put too much radiation in me at one shot to do a full MRI because the CT scan looks at bones and things like that, looking for cracks and breaks and. So nothing looking at ligaments and the discs and all that other stuff in my back. So right now, just light duty, not really doing anything, hoping to snap out of it before I have to go in for more testing. But yeah, it was scary, man. It's still like, I mean, today is Friday. It's still really, really foggy. Like it's hard to like concentrate. I've never had a concussion before. But yeah, it's hard to like really just like I have to like stop and think for a minute before I do stuff, remind myself exactly what I'm doing kind of over and over again. But we're getting better. Each day is getting better and better.
Is it like you're a week out? Was it Saturday?
It was Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're almost a week out from it.
Yep.
It's really scary when you text me. I was like, I mean, I don't know a lot about concussion protocol. And that was what I was like, I don't know. Like, just stay. We'll figure it out. like, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Like, I'll manage it. You sent me the one thing I needed for our on-site launch.
Yep.
In front of the sales team. It's like, we'll like figure this out. Like, and then Monday we went back to the hospital. I was like, yeah, he's not coming. Like, you're just gonna stay. I don't need you here. It's tough.
And it's
I don't
funny,
need Jamie calling me and be like, bud, what the hell are you doing? Like, no, like, I just stayed here.
And I was getting pissed because in my own head, I'm fine. Right. I'm totally fine. And like now rewinding, like,
you are.
Yeah. And talking to like Jamie and stuff about like, cause I guess when I was in the ski patrol place, and the doctor's like looking me over, she said I must have asked like 15 times over and over again, how did I get here? Did I take a sled ride? Like, cause usually when you get hurt on the hill, ski patrol takes you down in the sled.
Yep.
And she was like, no, they let you walk here. I'm like, damn it, I wanted a sled ride. She said like 5 minutes later, like, how did I get here? Did I get a sled ride? She's like, nope, Mike, they let you walk here. I'm like, damn it, I really wanted a sled ride, So it was like those things, but in my head, I felt completely normal. And even when we got home and like, I'm resting on the couch and like I wake up and I get like dressed and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you have to drive me to go get the rental car. I'm supposed to pick it up at 4. She's like, I'm not taking you to get a rental car right now. Like, you're laying here, like you have to figure this out and you're not right. But
Bro,
it's scary, man. When you get your dome knocked that hard and you forget a whole day, and it's still even like hard to kind of like comprehend and like think stuff. That's scary. It's coming back. Like yesterday I started panicking. Like, what if I'm like this forever? This is terrible.
Well, you'll forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah.
It's 10-second Ted or 10-second Tom and 51st date or whatever. It's just like, we go back and forth. Just boom. Dude, I'm glad that you're are recovering. I was doing the voice chat with ChatGPT because you can have like a conversation with it on your phone. It's like, a coworker of mine got a concussion really bad, and what should I be thinking about? And like, you should talk to, like, you should, take the advice of the doctor. And I'm like, he hasn't even told me what the doctor advised. So what should I just be doing on my own? And it's like a week of basically doing nothing. And I'm like, okay, we can handle that. For sure.
Yeah. That's what it was. The doctor said, you can't drive until your brain is ready. And that could take a week or 2. And you can't, they basically put me on lockdown from any kind of technology, like no screen time on my phone, obviously no drinking, stay away from like television. They said that
you can't listen to that obviously because you're doing a podcast.
I know. So, and then they're like, the best thing for you is to sit in a dark room and just like listen to podcasts. That way your brain isn't like paying attention and watching something. And I'm like, well, who the hell wants to do that? So then you were like, what kind of restrictions do you have? I'm like, nothing. I'm good.
Yeah. Give me a break, Mike. Meanwhile, like, I know what we do and how much of a brain is important to managing the client work that we do. And I'm like, talking to Ross, and I'm like, hey, like, we got to manage this.
Yeah.
We need some help. Talking Maria, like, we need some help on this. So
I really appreciate that. Because in my head, like the first couple of days thinking that I could, and then taking those, I took 3 solid days of doing absolutely nothing, just shut my brain off, just absolutely nothing, bare minimum, checking in with you once in a while. And that felt great. And then I was easing back into it yesterday, and I literally had a panic attack within I think it was the first call we were on yesterday. Because I had some emails coming in. I was trying to keep up with the call. Like there was a lot going on and I couldn't do it. And I started like having a panic attack. And I'm like, I can't, this is a lot to keep up with. Like, holy cow. So I just kind of took a break.
I left Bud alone for 4 days and this is what has happened.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just, it's getting back into it. Today was better. Today was definitely better. So it's just taking some time, but yeah.
That is awesome. I love it.
You didn't lose me forever, man.
That is good stuff. No, well, I'm thankfully you were wearing your helmet. Everything is good. And we're here. We're doing a light duty episode today. We wanted to get content out, and we wanted to get this out because clients are texting me asking about you. They want to know, the clients we visited this week want to know how you're doing too. So we were able to do that. So back to our regular scheduled program tomorrow, like next week, by the way. Like, we got 3 episodes or 2 or 3 episodes to record with some
good ones too.
Interviews next week. Yes.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Client interviews. So about a various myriad of topics. So I need you in a dark room locked in, no podcast, no, just like healing.
I can't wait. That's been the best part.
Gong healing.
Yep. I have 7 13-year-old girls coming over here on Saturday, so I want nothing more but to be in my bedroom in a dark, quiet place.
Do you need to go over to my place and just you come? It's empty. Come over. Just relax in my place.
I will be locked in my bedroom. That is for sure.
Light a fire at the fireplace and just relax, stare, and hang out.
Nice. Love
Heal,
it.
Mikey.
Love it. Heal.
We need you back. Well, what you missed was a trip up to Chicago, which was a great trip. Saw like 25, well, probably saw like 40 reps, I think, 50 reps across the week, all over Chicago and greater area of, downtown, all the way out to Galesburg, which is in the middle of, it's Iowa. I didn't realize how close I was going to get to Iowa until I started the truck out there. It's like, I am in the middle of nowhere out here for sure. So
it's pretty far west.
It's way out there. It's way, way, way out there. But good people, a lot of fun. We'll spend more time downloading that probably next week as we get through some of the notes and what we're working on there. So it was very exciting to see that new client kind of take to Duck to Water. People are looking at dollars over instead of just volume, and revenue instead of just volume, which is great to see. So really good stuff. And then
awesome.
I had a trip up to Minneapolis. Yeah, I went up to Minneapolis after that for a little wholesaler meeting at Minnesota Wholesalers Association. That was great. Thanks everybody for welcoming me in there. Have a couple beers with the whole crew up there. Got to see Jake, Mikey. Jake said hi. Yep, we want to know how you were doing too. So, yep, I'd hang out and have a couple beers with Jake, and that was great.
Very cool.
So then early this morning, I got on a flight. This is a shorter chaos story, but I moved myself to an earlier flight and got confirmed. There's a 7 a.m. back to Orlando, and then there's like a 10 a.m. I was on the 10 a.m. and I moved myself to the 7:15. So I got up, we got out, got going, got on the plane, got all settled in, wheel ourselves out to the runway, kind of sit there for a minute. Captain comes on and says, "Hey, we got a problem with the generator in the engine. We're going to have to go back to the gate, get maintenance to look at it." So we go back to the gate. Maintenance looks at it. They do their thing. They sign off on it. We're good to go. Put more gas on the plane. It's like 35, 40 minutes. So now we're like a 25, 30-minute delay at landing. We go back
out. And you were
out.
direct from Minneapolis back down to
Orlando. Direct to Orlando, yep. Go back out, get de-iced, sit there. And I'm like, man, you miss your time to get to Orlando this time of year. It's called a slot time. You missed your slot time to get to Orlando this year. Like I said, it's a solid like 20 minutes for a wait while the air traffic controller people fit you back into the flow, because there's just so much traffic coming down here.
Oh, I'm sure.
In this time of year. So I'm thinking that. I'm still pretty hopeful. Captain pops back on and says, "We got a problem with our environmental system and our air conditioning system, which manages our pressurization. So we're going back to the gate." So we went back to the gate for maintenance. Now we're like an hour behind. Fortunately, Smart Bud had texted the Delta and said, like, Morning Bud was like, "Hey, can you put me on standby back on the flight that I was on?" So the Delta agent on the texting was like, "Yep, done." Threw me back on there. So that flight was 2 gates away and was leaving at 10, and we had parked back at the gate at like 9:20. I was like, ooh, I could probably do this if they let me back off. So they let us off. I was the first one off the plane. I had all my stuff ready. I was very, very diligent about being ready quickly. That will come back to bite me in the ass in a minute. So I got all my stuff down, whipped myself out the door, scanned myself out of the plane. They're going to make you scan out, and walked right over 2 gates and was like, "Hey, I'm next on the list for standby. You got 1 seat left." And they're like, "Oh, I've been calling your name. I can get you on." So then they, fight with the tech, and they actually get me on a plane. So now I'm like, cool. And I call Sarah, and she's like, "Did you get everything? You got your iPad and everything else?" And I'm looking at her like, "Yeah, I got everything." And I'm like, "Did I get my iPad?"
Oh, no.
So I dropped my stuff out of my seat. I'm in row 49A. I'm in the very last row of the 757, which is like flying in a pencil with wings. So it's way in the back. So I drop my stuff, tell the flight attendant, like, hey, can I go back up and get off and go back to the other plane where I left my iPad? And she's like, yeah, let me call up. So she calls up to the gate. Gate agent says, yes, send him back. So I get myself off. I run back across, go back. I'm like, knucklehead here left his iPad. So like, what seat are you in? So then they ran down and grab it. They have to fight through the deboarding because people are now the flight I was on is going to be deboarded and sent to a different gate with a new plane. So I've made the right decision. I've cut the right direction. So then they get off, or they grab my iPad. I scoot back over and I get on. I sit down, and it's all good. It's all gravy. Sit next to a nice family of 5. We got baby, young teenager, probably like 11 or probably like 12 or 13, and then I got the 2 little ones. The guy rolls over. He's got a backwards hat on. He's like, "You sure you want to stay here, bro?" He kind of looks at dad. You going to Disney? He's like, no, we're going to Universal. I'm like, well, that's cool too. You can go ahead and just ride the Minion ride. He's like, yeah. It's like, you gonna have a butter beer? And he looks at me. He's like, what's that? Dad looks at me. He's like, what is that? Just get him one. It's not real beer. Just get him one. Don't get them. It's too sugary. It's too sweet. So,
it's awesome. That's crazy, man.
That other flight delayed 3.5 hours, and the flight that I was originally on was delayed by 20 minutes. So it was a little day. A little do to get back.
Oh man! Well, luckily you got back, and good thing you thought about your iPad. Saved by Sarah, right?
Yeah, it was saved by Sarah. It'd be gone. And then I was like, "What seat am I in?" I have no idea. Now the app is flipped to the new flight, so I don't have my boarding pass anymore.
Oh shit!
And the Delta app, which is fine. I started playing the sound on Find My iPad, like over and over and over and over again. Somebody will find it if it's dinging. So it rang for the full 8 minutes. It probably took 6. It was probably 4 or 5 minutes for the flight attendant to run back down there and grab it and bring it back to me. But yeah, I was a chaos agent. And then the nice flight attendant in the back of the plane, when I get all my stuff done, I was the last one off the plane, and she's like, "Do you got your iPad?"
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. You need a little inventory checker.
A little inventory checker, yes. Well, a little news. We will get to a little business news in this shorter podcast today. I was talking with a client about RNDC this week, which is funny because RNDC has been having a hard time in their business. Everybody in the industry knows, everybody knows that these wine and spirit, the big 4 wine and spirits wholesalers, are just having a tough go of it right now. Brands have moved around. It kind of started when Sazerac made the shift to the beer network that they are into, which is a collection of Molson Coors, mostly Molson Coors wholesalers through the Central Plains states and Southeast or kind of Southwest, and then also some collection of some AB wholesalers where legal. Because some states like Michigan, don't have a license. This is the way that the control state works. You can't actually sell it as a beer distributor license, and then there's a whole other about how you actually sell booze in states like Michigan as a distributor. So, but with all that said, I was talking about with this client, does Reyes buy RNDC? And the comment back was from the client was why would they? They're just taking all the brands, they're cherry picking all the brands anyways. And what do you have to buy? If there's no franchise protection, which there isn't in most states, there's zero franchise protection for investing in the brands and, being a brand owner and have franchise rights of it. Hey, I'm going to invest in the business with suppliers, which is one of the reasons why the beer industry is the way that it is you can, as a wholesaler, you can invest in the brands with the brand owner, and your brand equity is collaborative. You've shared in that together. And he made the comments wow, what are you going to do? Will you buy a warehouse? A shell? You're going to buy you're cherry picking all the good brands already anyways. And then boom, today, the BBD, Tito's goes to Reyes in California.
Oh man.
I mean, and Tito's is a machine of volume and profit for a wholesaler too.
Yeah, no kidding. Big
Crazy.
News.
Be huge news. And Reyes having Tito's, and I think they have Sazerac out there too. And they've scooped up the Buzzball relationship basically universally across their footprint too, which was, I believe, also in Sazerac as well, or in RNDC too. Like, you're taking all the good, like, I don't know. I don't know enough about RNDC's business as a whole, but like that cannot be good for the planning and the P&L. And even some of our clients in the central states have bought up all of RNDC's beer and have moved that, migrated over that into their territories as well. So it's wild that it's put together. But when you bring Reyes together and bring in Tito's, which I think Tito's is Fireball the largest liquor and Tito's is number 2?
That sounds about right. Yeah, I would think that. I would definitely put Fireball number 1.
I feel like Sazerac told us that when we launched the Sazerac or the Fireball malt product, that they were. I mean, I know that Sazerac is the largest. Sazerac is the largest liquor market share brand owner by and conglomerate of liquor by percentage, and then Diageo is number 2 in the U.S. market. But Tito's is still an independent. I actually think they're still independent over in Texas and owned out of Texas. So it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yep. Not a walk in the park. I mean, that's a big brand. So
it's not like RNDC doesn't have any teeth either, though, because they set these multi-state deals up. So there's probably some kind of kicker for there's 2 things. There's either some kind of kicker for RNDC to continue to move and stay with, unless it's their own. I'm kind of reading this halfway while we talk about it. Unless it's only for California where they have it, but I think they have it in other places. Yeah, RNDC remains strong in other markets where we operate, and this transition applies solely to the California market. So there's got to be some kind of bonus, because these big liquor companies, they set up these huge deals. And the version of the story I've heard is like Hennessy and was it Hennessy? I think it was Hennessy. And one other brand connected it into that business unit, whoever owns Hennessy. The wholesaler in Michigan, Great Lake Wine and Spirits, they were the number 1 wholesaler of the year for Hennessy. But they're just one state operator. And in Michigan, you're a delivery agent. You get paid like $8 and change to just deliver the product. So they're number 1 wholesaler. They have no incentive to sell the product other than the delivery payout. And they got terminated the next year because Southern or RNDC, I don't remember which one, but one of them had come in and cut a deal for their multi-state operator and saying, hey, you move over to us and we'll do all this, and we'll do all this kickback, and we'll do all this guaranteed buy, which they do some of that in the wine and spirits game too, like guaranteed POs for these brands.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like, there's got to be something in that for them, or this is the first domino.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Does it follow along? Has Sazerac paved the way? Yeah. Well, if you're a big brand owner, like, you've got another person to go talk to and think about doing your delivery and your service model for them. And Sazerac has kind of plowed the road with this liquor business already. And like, do you go to the next level and have these other brand owners just basically hook onto the caboose and keep getting in the draft as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Paving the way.
Super crazy.
Yep.
Good reason, to invest in your, franchise rights, invest in your, MBWA's relationship and your state wholesalers relationship, because this stuff matters. It matters to what our beer distributor clients do every single day. So
absolutely. Buckle up and wear a helmet, right?
Buckle up and wear a helmet for sure. Get your chin strap on, throw on your mouth guard, and fire away for sure.
Yeah, man.
Well, Mikey, I am still glad you're here. Also, technical difficulties have subsided on this trip around for us as well. So last one, we didn't get to fix it. It was all my fault, but we still got good audio out of it. The video was kind of funky at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
But we had a listener share that feedback, like, hey, want to let you know that the video gets, it's probably my mom. There's like one person who listens to this. So
hey, at least somebody's watching it, right?
At least somebody's watching. It's like, hey, the video and the audio gets out of sync like 10 minutes in. I'm like, thanks, brothers. And nothing. Like, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
It's baked in, and I'm not redoing it.
Not redoing it.
Redoing it.
I don't even remember doing it in the first place, so we can't redo it.
I love it. Love it. Well, lights off from here, Mikey.
Yeah, man.
No sound, no phone, no talking. I'll give James. This is Bud's marching orders. We want you healed, happy, and healthy. First part of next week, and we got a big week for next week and a big week after that as well. So lots of good stuff, my man. For everybody listening, a little off the beaten path episode today.
Yeah.
We'll get back to our regular scheduled programming next week. And if you like what we're doing, you love what we're doing, would love for you to hit that subscribe button and share it with anybody you think would have fun listening to us knuckleheads talk about beer and everything beverage alcohol. So cheers, y'all.
Cheers.